to Ear Hustle, where we spark conversations with influential people from around the world. I'm Asia Key.
And I'm Destiny.
And today, joining us, we have a very special guest, Jessica White.
Hi, guys.
Fashion model, actress, TV personality. You've pretty much done it all that you can think of. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Squeezing us into your schedule.
Absolutely.
What do you have going on these days? How's everything?
Everything is amazing. I'm actually currently working on my clothing line.
Oh, really?
So it's been stressful starting a new business, but at the same time, very delightful doing something outside of what I've always wanted to do. And this just, my creativity is just really pushing me to, this is just another endeavor I'm going to take on.
What's it called, or like you want to tell
La
us a little?
Dame. It's called La Dame.
La Dame,
which is
okay.
model backwards.
So clever, and it sounds so fancy.
It sounds
fancy.
It sounds French,
fancy.
and I'm Creole, so I was like, "Oh, that sounds French." I love the.
Yeah, I like
but it's
that.
just model backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your plan for it so far? Like, do you have a date on when you want to drop it? Or?
Well, very soon. Hopefully, it'll be out by January.
Okay.
That's my team, and that's what we're cutting off by. You know, you have to give yourself a time limit to release, or else, like, I'm one of those. I'm a Gemini Cancer, so nothing is ever perfect enough for me.
Right.
So I'll just keep going, and it'll be 3 years down the line, and I'll still be talking about releasing it. So I just have to give myself a cutoff date for sure.
So January, you guys, look out for that.
Yeah.
Le Dame.
By Jessica White.
Okay, so you started out in more so the modeling industry, and I know for some people when you're starting out, it's like a struggle story. For you, it doesn't really seem to have been like a struggle story. It was more like you went out for something, and then it was like instantly picked up for you.
Yeah, my first job was American Vogue 2 weeks
First
after being
job.
discovered.
Casual.
Yeah, super casual, but it really wasn't. I'm from Buffalo, New York, and I always knew what I wanted to do. Like, since I was a young girl, this wasn't something that I was just like, I'm going to be very famous. I'm an artist. I can sing. I can dance. I was in ballet theater. This is just something I literally came out of my mother's womb telling everybody, this is what I'm going to do.
And you were in a girl group too, right?
Yeah, I
Starting
was
out,
in a
so-
girl group from a very young age. I did theater. I did ballet, which I did point. I did mime dance. I did tap. You could think
little
of
everything.
Yeah. I was the captain of the drill team in high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
You're
I
just
was
like a picture perfect, like.
not picture perfect, but I just loved performing. I loved creativity.
That was always in you.
Yeah. And I just always loved the arts, and I studied people, and I had a niche for music and learned to play the piano. I stopped, so I kind of suck at it now, but I wish I would have listened to my father and kept going. But yeah, I
know he'd be
I went
so
to,
proud
I got discovered. Yeah, he
of
would
everything
be.
you're doing.
Well,
That's
he
amazing.
passed away when I was 9 years old. So a lot of the things that I do it for him. Like my production company is called White House Productions because I put his name to literally everything. I'm thinking about naming my modeling agency after him.
You should.
That's beautiful.
I'm trying to figure that out. But names are important to me, especially passing on his name because he didn't have sons. I'm like his only son, you know?
Yeah.
So
So, since you didn't struggle in that sense of like being in these model houses, sleeping with 20 different girls
no,
and
I
little.
can't say I never did the model
apartment.
house and the model apartment. I mean, I started making money right away. So I had my own drivers. And they only allow girls that are making money to be able to pile up expenses like that. And I was very lucky in that department for sure. I was really blessed.
That's amazing.
So yeah, and then I became, after they let Tyra go, CoverGirl, they were looking for their new African American face to replace her. So I was 15 years old, and that's when I
15.
signed my multi-million-dollar contract with CoverGirl.
Crazy. That's a blessing.
And then, I guess years later, I became the first African American woman to have 2 beauty contracts, because I ended up signing an 11-year contract with Maybelline. So I'm the only woman that's ever done that. So it's not even just a black, but it's just the only woman.
Right?
So
How does it feel like to be able to even say that? Does it?
It
like,
never
does it
really
resonate with
hit
you?
me just yet. I think the one time it hit me was when they wrote about it in the New York Times, and I was just like, oh, this is something. Because you have to understand, I'm so busy when I was younger, just trying to accomplish the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
That you never really pay attention
Never
to,
even enjoy the
what
moments.
you're accomplishing. So it was like, oh, it's never enough. And to me, it's still never enough. I'm not satisfied with anything that I do, to be honest with you. That might be my greatest strength.
Yeah.
And it might be
Yeah.
the one thing that, makes me kind of difficult too with myself. But,
I think the most difficult people become the most successful people
Yeah.
sometimes, so.
well, difficult with yourself. I
Yeah,
love
with
my
yourself,
team.
Right.
Not with,
Right,
with
not
other
everybody
people.
else.
Yeah,
No,
with
I
yourself.
love, you have to, that's the one advice I would tell you.
Yeah.
If you get into fashion, or even if you're just an artist, a singer, an actor, send your agent flowers. Call them, have a relationship with these people, because they have lives. And it's
Yeah.
very difficult for them to cater to someone else constantly.
Yeah.
You have to be friends with everyone
Yeah.
around you, or at least have a relationship with
just
them.
be
It's a
humble.
marriage. It's
Yeah.
a marriage.
Yeah, you definitely seem like very humble, for especially for like the caliber of like what you've done, and,
Yeah,
and your
so
name out
young.
there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are just not, let alone humble, not kind, just nasty, personalities.
I think that's the climate that we live in, though. They feel like they can do that. And
Yeah.
especially, you have to understand, these people didn't grind and, go away from home. Like, I left home and had to be in Europe by myself. I raised myself being in these different countries. It was, you don't just get called a supermodel to be called a
Yeah.
supermodel, especially at that time. Now it's about what parents you came from, if
Right.
you know someone, or if you had a little viral moment. There was no such thing as Instagram
Yeah.
when we
Yeah.
started. We were
really had to
looking
get it.
through
Gotta
the
really
yellow
catch
pages.
attention,
So this was a great work ethic, resilience. That's what
Yeah.
it took to really be successful. So that's the era that I come from.
Yeah.
I think both of us can, the new generation and the older school can kind of help each other in that regard, because being humble is what keeps longevity.
Yeah.
It's not just a viral moment.
That's a fact. So you never really, like we just talked about, had to struggle as far as making it or getting there. And you started making money like when you were 15 or whatever.
Right away, yeah.
So how was your family financially before you made it? It's like, did you make it and have to take care of your family, or was everybody already straight?
I was the breadwinner.
You were the breadwinner.
Yeah, we had 13 people living under one household.
Oh my God.
And I was the youngest. Well, the youngest out of my siblings.
Yeah.
And they were way older, so they were married and had children. So I was growing up with my nieces and nephews. So I was basically like their older sister. But once my dad passed, my mom, she was a medical technician. She worked and did everything she possibly could. But in all actuality, she just changed when my father passed. So at 12, I was like, all right, I'm going to be the breadwinner and take care of everyone. And that was stressful.
Yeah.
Because I needed to have financial freedom, which I didn't have until I left home in general, like just completely left the family.
Yeah.
So that I could have, an opportunity. But those things happen for a reason, because, down to the agency that I'm going to be starting, I learned so much about young girls that are making so much money, and how parents take the money and they don't invest it the right way. So for me and my girls, when I have my agency, what I'm going to do is protect the children at all costs, so that if they're 18 years old and they want to retire, trust me, you can. Parents will get a percentage. The rest of it goes into a vault. Like, these are business things that I had to go through stuff from trial and error to be able to help, other people eventually. So everything you go through, it is for a purpose.
That's true.
It really
I
is.
think that's awesome, because a lot of people nowadays, especially within like the Black community and our community, we don't know what to do next when we get to a certain level.
You don't know. You have to think. Generational wealth wasn't
It's not
spoken about in our households,
not.
especially with our grandparents. My mother was very successful in her own, but she was not bringing. She had a 12-year-old daughter that was bringing home $25,000 checks.
Yeah.
She never saw that kind of money coming through before. She didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't know, you really don't know until somebody comes, like
Taxes
you said, trial
and stuff like that. So
Yeah. So when you're that age and you start getting these big checks, or you start getting paid, how does that work for a young individual?
I will tell you how simple I was. I didn't care about the money. I just wanted the fame.
Yeah, you just wanted the
I
fame.
wanted the accolades. And I was like, oh, whatever, as long as I can go back to school and go to high school with the new Timberland boots on and a shearling coat. Like, I was truly a teenager. But then I was living two different worlds, because then I would leave my Timberland boots and my shearling coat at home in Buffalo. And then all of a sudden I'm wearing stilettos and I'm grown and I'm like best friends with Stella McCartney and her father, a Beatle. And I'm just like, I don't. And I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't care either. So my agents thought she's not impressed by anything. I just didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. So I feel like a lot of people, when they transition from a certain life to that next life where they're being successful and everything, when they go back home is still regular, how do you find a balance between the two things of
I'm very grounded. I've always been. I honestly believe like certain people accumulate fame and fortune because they work hard for it. And there are certain people that are just born for it. And if you're born to do it, you're born with the mental capacity to be able to deal with it. I'm not necessarily not impressed by it, but I take it all in stride. Like, oh, that's really cool. Or I'm like, oh, that was really cool. Like, that was fun.
Yeah.
But I'm still the same way now. You know, the only time I geeked out was when I met Prince and Mary J. Blige.
That's funny. I was going to ask, is there any, like, moment where you're, like an actual, like...
Prince and Mary J. Blige, I, like, broke my Giuseppe Hill at Mary J. Blige's concert. I came back stage and Jay-Z was like, what happened to your heel? I was like, I don't know. I was stomping and dancing and, like, shouting like I'm in church and broke my heel. And Prince, well, you just say nothing. You just, like...
Right.
Just admire.
Yeah, because you've been around, you know,
everyone.
Everyone, the biggest names. So it's like, to you, I'm sure that just feels normal versus like.
Absolutely, I think what helped is because I started very young.
Yeah.
And I've looked at people and admired them, but early on, you kind of go through disappointments and stuff in the business too.
Because you see the ins and outs.
Yeah, you see how mean people can be on the receiving end and being younger. And people forgetting this is just a young girl, but then they start thinking like you're competition or something. And so I'm just a young girl.
Yeah.
But they don't see you that way. And so you learn early on just to kind of pull back and reel everything in.
Kind of stay with the people who are true to you versus.
Yeah, or just not be affected. Just like they're just human. That's it. And they're having a day just like everybody is, you know.
Do you ever pull inspiration from the other artists that you come across, not just supermodels?
I pull inspiration from everyone. But mostly I get a lot of my inspiration from spirituality.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, I am deeply, deeply spiritual soul. And I get a lot of my creativity, even my writings and movies that I wrote my first film and directed my first film. It's called The Devil's Angel. And a lot of my things have a lot of like spiritual undertones, even down to some of the pieces that I'm designing, certain jewelry pieces that I use, like they have a lot of spiritual undertones as well. I mean, I find inspiration in everyone and everything, but spirituality is one of the main focuses for me, down to the colors, you know, because the spirit talks to you in colors and yeah.
So we could find a little bit of you in all your work, basically.
Well, it's all of me, because if I mean, I'm a very complex human being, so I have to do a bunch of things in order to be happy and be fulfilled.
So, just to take it back to how you mentioned your agent and everything, for people who are upcoming, aspiring models, whatever. How do you go about as far as like first steps, like to really like give some insight to people who like would obviously it'd be hard to reach your level, but like, you know, just who want to make it. How do you start, like, as far as finding an agent or getting noticed? Like, what are the like first steps that you feel like would be the most beneficial?
Well,
for someone
I guess
to take?
for right now, because we're living in modern day times, you can use social media definitely as a tool, but I wouldn't be thirsty to, like, if you want to be a fashion model, be a fashion model. Your inspiration should be following other successful fashion models. your Gigi's, your
Yeah.
Chanel Imans. Those are the people that you should kind of look at in their template of how they even run their Instagram page versus, taking off your clothes and like going. And it depends on what kind of modeling you want to do. If you're asking a Jessica White, if you want to be a fashion model, these are, I would use them as an example, right? There's always walk-in calls. You can go and you can email your picture, but right now the new portfolio is your social media. So get pictures done, and a lot of Polaroids. You can go about it that way. I personally love going into agencies. They have walk-in calls every Thursday at every big modeling agency in New York City.
Oh, okay.
You can always go, walk in, show your book, your pictures, and it's best for them to be able to see you. They take Polaroids of you, and chances are if you have it, then you're definitely going to get a call back.
But talk about how important it is that those pictures look good and they come from good photographers.
They have to be good photographers, but they don't have to be great photographers. The simple, the best. Not a bunch of makeup, your hair pulled back, because people want to see you. We need to see you in your human shell and what you actually look like, so that we can use a template to kind of create whatever it is that we want. But they have to, like how you look right now, put your hair up in a ponytail, kind of make it skin a little dewy. Yeah, that's how you should go in and look. Okay. A white T-shirt and some jeans and some heels. Okay. That's simple. It. Very simple. Not a bunch of makeup, not a bunch of lashes and eyebrows done. Like, that's not it. You have to be. You have to show your natural beauty.
You want to see their blank canvas.
Exactly.
Where they start.
They need a blank canvas for sure.
So is that how you got noticed for your first?
I started at IMTA. Now, IMTA is a modeling and talent competition, and it's humongous in New York City. Katie Holmes was discovered there. A lot of big actors and stuff. And I went for modeling, and out of the group of kids that I went with, I didn't even go for acting, but I ended up getting over 100 callbacks for acting just for a little commercial I did, and I got over 1,000 callbacks for modeling. Oh, wow. And one of them was IMG, which I finally got to their table. It was really overwhelming because I was like, have to go all these tables and like talk to these people, and I was like, I don't know how to make these decisions. But I just remember, my father is a pastor, and I had this prophet told me, like, you're going to make the right decisions in your career. Don't worry. Yeah. And I was like, all right, I got this. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I go to IMG. I go to their table. This guy, David Cunningham, he shows me the book. First, he opens up the first page. It's Tyra Banks. It's Nikki Taylor. I'm like, so you can stop at Tyra.
Right. I've seen it.
I don't need to see anybody else. I'm signing with you guys. And 2 weeks later, my job was American Vogue.
Wow. So that was definitely someone you looked.
Oh, I looked up to every 90s supermodel. And they represented every last one of them. So I was just like, oh my God, if they did all of that, then this is what they're going to do for me. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So talking about the first people that you kind of need to have on your team when you're trying to blow up, what would you say?
A really good agency that believes in you. It doesn't have to be at IMG. There are a lot of other smaller boutique agencies these days. And you have to also and not everybody's story is the same. For instance, Winnie Harlow. Yeah. She got discovered on, a reality TV show. It didn't go anywhere. And she just did one photo on Instagram with a photographer, and it went viral. And she was shopping around. She had covers and was doing great, and still had no agency, and was still looking for management. And then it just happened. She ended up getting a really, and I know her manager very well. This guy, Manny, he believed in her. You have to get someone who believes in you and who's well connected.
Do you think now, since you started before Instagram, do you think that Instagram at this point is elevating you in any type of way or helps to your career since you're already
I don't think it helps
level?
My career, but I think it keeps everybody in my damn business.
Yeah, for
it
sure.
really keeps everyone in my personal life. But I've always, Instagram is like, my ex-boyfriends were very famous men. I'm used to helicopters soaring over my house, but I don't have to log on to an app and I see everybody's opinion about that photograph. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So I was mentally protected, at the height of my career when I was making all my mistakes and growing up in front of the camera, in front of the world. Now it's overly saturated.
Yeah.
I think for me, even, my last relationship, when it ended, just was like, oh my God, is my career going to suffer for this? Because everyone is like, I couldn't even post. I couldn't post anything.
Wow.
I couldn't post one damn thing that even a song. If I posted a song, people were reading into it.
Is this Nick or?
Yeah, it was my ex. Yeah. But it's like, are we, this is
Has to
what
be a lot.
social media has turned into. So,
I couldn't imagine.
I don't know how it
couldn't
helps.
either.
I know I haven't gotten to a place where it can help.
Because you're already who you are, too.
Yes, but it keeps people in the know of Jessica White, and I'm always on a blog, whether I do anything or not, whether I have a project coming out or not. But honestly, I'm not here for tabloid fodder, and I've never liked it.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's just a lot of pressure.
Yeah, you go through breakups, miscarriages in front of the whole world.
Everything.
It's horrible.
Yeah. So the last question that I want to ask in regards to, modeling and just educating some people, when it comes to agencies, I want to compare it to, like, the music industry when it comes to, like, record labels and stuff like that. Because you know how today a lot of people are going the more independent route and, record labels
Nowadays, you don't need an agency.
Okay, I was going to ask, so, like, is that a thing that where, like, people are
I would
more
say it's
independent?
healthy to have an agency. It depends on what you're coming in with, right? Nowadays, they don't want to develop talent in any way. And the music industry is the same way.
Yeah.
They want to know how many followers you have, certain things like that. So if that's the case, and if I'm coming in with something, my advice would be an agency automatically is going to want to take 20%. Well, if you care
That's
so
the
much,
average?
if you care so much about my followers, my Instagram followers, and what I'm bringing to the table already, then you should be allowed to drop that percentage down to at least 13%. 15.
Because you're already coming with something.
Yeah, you're coming
They're
with
not
something,
even-
right? So utilize your intelligence. If you're smart, you have to. I mean,
Yeah,
some people just
negotiate.
can't get away with it. It's going to be 20%, but after the first year, depending on how much money you're bringing in, you can always negotiate. You have to be on your stuff. Get a business manager, stay on top of
Yeah.
your business manager. Get a lawyer, stay on top of your lawyer. Most agencies will say, well, you don't need a business manager or a lawyer because we have that in-house. No, you have to have your separate group of people because you have to have loyalty in one area.
Yeah.
Because trust me, you're going to have to stay on top of your agency and correct those papers.
Yeah, because their lawyers are for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Not
That's
for
super
you.
smart to have separate.
And keep all your receipts, every taxi, every driver, every amount of food that you eat, dinners, and if you buy yourself shoes, anything for your hair, you are a write-off.
Oh, okay.
And that's your business. Your body, your face, and even down to food.
Yeah.
It's a write-off.
Oh, wow.
Your cell phone is a write-off. The taxi that you're taking, you took that money, that $10 to go uptown to a casting, that's a write-off. Save everything. You have to be on it.
So what would you say the 3 most important people, or at least the first people you need to have on your team? Would it be?
Well, I think it takes a village, but you can't have that village until you actually really, really, get there. But a really good agent or manager, I would suggest you get a good agency just because it's nice to have that comfort. Your agency doesn't even have to be in America. You can also get representation. In Toronto is a really good market to start in. And they can team you up with agents in Europe and in Paris. It's not difficult. All you have to do is just get placement. One placement with an agency. I tell girls all the time, even Toronto has a really great market. Don't just, limit yourself to here in America.
Yeah.
So you need a good agent, one. You need a good manager, or you can go without the agent and have a really good manager, and you guys grow together.
Yeah.
And then eventually you're gonna need a really good publicist. You need a publicist, a good PR agent,
Yeah.
because you need someone to help with the marketing, social media aspects, getting you on the perfect and the right red carpets, you getting you in those right rooms. Your image. Image control is key.
Everything.
Image control is necessary. When social media just came out, I was like one of those girls where I would tell someone like, "Screw you, suck my," and I would say just like that. And my agent was like, "No, you cannot say this." So my publicist was writing my butt at one point, to the point where,
because you're so outspoken.
yeah, to the point where she was like, "Send me the caption before you post." It was that bad at one point.
And that's what you had to do.
Now I have, more control than that. I don't even allow people to piss me off, but
Yeah. Okay, I have kind of a random little question.
Go ahead, shoot.
Because I noticed you have tattoos, and just curious, like, I know in the model industry, because I had a friend once, he had a contract. He went and got a tattoo, and he lost it. How do they feel about, tattoos in the industry?
At the time, it's different now. When I got my tattoos, it was not spoken of. Especially a black girl. I was like the Jimi Hendrix of the fashion industry.
That's a great comparison.
And right. And Victoria's Secret, when I first worked with them, I had no tattoos, then came back, and I was an angel. So I was like, well, what the heck are we going to do? And I remember when I got booked for the show, I had just gotten this big-ass tattoo on my back. Like, I've got scratch marks on my ass.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, it's like going down both sides of my ass. Like a big beast just scratched me on my butt. And it was brand new. And they were like, what are we going to do? And they were like, just give her some big wings.
Big wings.
Give her some big wings. But for me, I was just really good at my job. And the thing is, even with Maybelline, they started creating products called Tattoo. And they made products around me.
Yeah.
So I was lucky because I was good at my job.
Yeah.
I'm really good at my job, and I really know how to work the client and stay like in the client's face. And I would go to them and be like, hey, how can I help you to help me?
Yeah.
I was a businesswoman, pretty shrewd about it. And so some of them I don't think I've ever, if I did have any problems, it wasn't told to me. I'm sure agents or clients probably complained about it, and I was doing Sports Illustrated, Victoria's Secret, but they never edit those photos out. They always left my tattoos in, and I didn't trip because I started seeing these other white girls coming in with colored hair, and they have piercings, and I was like, well, why can't I be
myself,
my gothic self? Right. Like, I'm a hippie, I'm like gothic, and I'm a teenager at this. Like, I'm growing up, I'm gonna get my nose pierced, I'm gonna want my eyebrows pierced. Like, you have to go through. I'm growing up in front of the world.
Yeah.
And if they're getting away with it, you mean to tell me that I can't? Well, it was different as a black model, and I was very courageous to kind of push that envelope. I was some years ahead of my time, for sure. Yeah. But I took that risk, and I'm happy I did because I love all my tattoos. I wouldn't change that for anything, but I do know that it was a problem for other people. So that's why I would say you can't get away with what other people can. It's really about your life path and the energy that follows you. So don't take my advice and go and get 50 tattoos like I did, but just ease your way into it, but still live your life. Don't be scared. Be courageous with anything that you do.
Yeah. Touching on coming into the industry as a young black model, did you face any like problems with like racism or anything like?
Absolutely.
Or was it not so bad for you?
Well, I have a way of ignoring. I'm not even going to put this designer on blast, but it was a European designer. And my problem was I was young, but I was very bodacious at a very early age. And I showed up, I'm in Italy. So I showed up to do my fitting, 14 years old. And they want to put me in this skirt. So it's for a really big show too. And they weren't going to give me jewelry or anything. They wanted me to walk down that runway topless. And I have never been so upset.
Yeah.
Over sexualizing, you know, and although
And
I
how
know
old
I
were
look,
you?
I was 14.
14.
Um,
How's
and
that?
but I was like, no, where's the
Yeah,
top? Like,
yeah.
the fuck do you think this is? But, you know, and my mom stayed in the car at the time because I wouldn't want her to come into the castings and stuff with me. And for this, I was already booked for the show. And I just remember I was so bothered and so hurt. And I could tell you a million stories like that.
Yeah.
But after that, like, I remember shooting with Steven Meisel, and I had 103 fever. And I kept telling my mom and my agent, I'm not feeling well. And we were shooting in Los Angeles, and this day it happened to be freezing cold and raining. But everything we're doing is for Italian Vogue, and it was outside. And I'm like, I'm not feeling well. You guys need to, like, not book me for this job. Nobody's listening to me. And I'm young, so I don't really have a voice. But they learned at that moment. But something switched in my head that shoot, because nobody cared that I was sick. And my mom made that the definitive decision to still book me for that job. Because it was Steven Meisel, was Italian Vogue. You know, like,
your mom.
you're on a roll, like, keep going.
Yeah.
And I was young and never had gotten to, you know, push my body to that physical limit.
Yeah.
And work and still be pretty. Quite as kept, she ended up making that decision. And he thought I was a horrible model because I was sick, but I'm damn near dead on the shoot. And no one listened to me. And I ended up going to the hospital right after that. So it was their fault. But that was a very important shoot for me. It was a very important experience, life experience. Because after that, I stopped. Like, it was something that kind of broke in my brain. And I don't know if it was healthy. Because I worked after that moment through food poisoning, through deaths, family members dying. And and literally there was something emotionally about me that kind of just switched, where it was like, they don't care. And they don't. And at that moment, I even realized family won't care.
Yeah.
Like, you are a product. You are making money. And
it
it was a very traumatic experience for me. At that moment, that's when I started having bad experiences with my mother, because I'm like, okay, now I see. You know, there's a lot that comes along with fame and fortune. And being, you know, in this business. It's not for the faint of heart. And, you know, those were the things I had to learn to soften up after that, because I was so brutal, where I was like, look, I don't care. Don't call me unless you're, like, dying or something. You still show up to work. And that's not cool.
Yeah.
But that's how people were treating me in the business. So that's what I thought, like, this is what it is. I had to reprogram myself in order to be able to deal as a human being and have empathy for people, because nobody has empathy for you.
Yeah. You completely threw self-care and mental health, everything out the window.
And you don't even think of it that way. You're like, just get on with it. The show must go on, you know. I could have been a part of the royal family and I would have had no problem.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot. Okay, well, on that note, let's lighten things up. Okay, we can get into some of these segments. So we brought this little dice for you. Oh, your handy dandy wine key. I'll return that to you.
No, that's you guys. That's my little bearing. Yeah, because you guys needed a...
Okay.
Every show it's gonna sit there.
I know. Oh my god. Wait, can you sign this? I'm just kidding.
I'll put JW on it.
Okay, so you have this little dice. You're just gonna do a light little roll or whatever, and whatever number you land on, that's what segment we're gonna do.
Oh, okay. Fun.
I know we don't have a lot of room. 5.
5.
Okay. Initial reaction.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, so this is
I would.
Self-
That's the irony of my life.
self-explanatory kind of. I'm just going to say something, and then you just talk about whatever comes to mind. It can be your thoughts on it. It can be just a one-word response, anything.
Okay.
Okay. First paid gig.
American Vogue.
Proudest accomplishment.
Proudest accomplishment, I think, was the Victoria's Secret runway show. I just felt like every step I took was for my ancestors and all the women before me that weren't able to be on that type of platform. Like, I was breaking generational curses that day and stepping on it.
Crushing it.
Yeah.
How many have you done?
Only one. I only did one.
You did one? Okay. Why just one? Was it, did you not?
Well, because I started becoming more Sports Illustrated, more swimsuit girl. My body was, you know, abruptly becoming more curvaceous, and those girls were getting smaller.
Okay. Feed the models.
models eat.
Models eat. So is it a misconception? Is it just like a fake?
Yeah.
Because the masses believe that.
No,
you're
models
aware
eat.
of that.
I don't diet at all. I eat whatever the hell I want, and I eat.
You eat good.
And I do not work out. I don't like working out.
Wow. So well, you just are genetically.
But a lot of my model friends, they eat. They love eating. We love going to restaurants, like making love, eating, traveling. Like, because these women are just really athletic, and they're very in tune to their bodies. They love working out. You know, they're disciplined. You know, I admire models because they're the most disciplined people I know. But they eat a lot.
Because that's like a thing, like feed the models. It's like a saying that people, because it's like, I guess on certain castings or like certain.
I mean, there are certain girls that are small, but it's not that those girls aren't eating. Maybe it could be drugs too, or maybe they could be depressed. You know, that's the thing about people and their perceptions. A lot of these girls are just naturally skinny. Like for me, I don't have to work out. I've never have. My cover of Sports Illustrated, I had abs. I wasn't working out. Yeah, I was on that set. I was eating a sub. You know what I mean? They were looking at me like, this bitch. You know, but a lot of it could be depression, or they're just young and haven't developed into their bodies either. You kind of have to do more research before people judge. Instead of feed the models, you should judge less.
Yeah, because that's a real hashtag, but it's like...
That's a real hashtag?
Yeah, that goes around, feed the models. I guess people, like, on certain sets, they're not, like, offering, like, food for the models or whatever the case is.
Oh, shut the hell up.
Yeah, it's
well,
a
that's
whole
one
thing.
set that you don't need to be on.
Right. So sets usually have, you know...
Well, you're supposed to have a full production. You're supposed to feed everybody.
Right. Yeah, that's a thing.
But you know what? Nowadays, fashion is just not the same.
Different.
It's
totally
different. Yeah. And everybody claims they're in it.
True.
Because of Instagram. Just like everybody's a makeup artist, like everybody's an
totally
influencer.
Fashion is weird nowadays. I feel like you could just throw on a whole designer outfit, it's suddenly fashion.
Horrible.
It's so weird.
It's bad. It is.
I blame Instagram for
I do too. I blame social media for sure.
I blame social media for so many things.
Social media is the devil, and I also blame social media for ending relationships.
Yes, especially when you have a bigger platform. Like, I can't imagine. Even like...
And then for these girls that that shouldn't even be allowed to be associated with you, just because of Instagram. It's like, I can't believe I'm in a sentence.
This conversation with like... Yeah.
Like, my name is in this sentence. Like, I'm sorry. This is when I don't become humble, because it's like Jessica White is what and what? Who am I associated with?
Right. There's a point. Okay. Your first celebrity crush.
My first celebrity crush was Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods?
Yep.
Really?
I was 11 years old, and I was like... I love Tiger Woods.
That's so funny.
I was so clean cut, like a very, I was like, he plays golf, and my father played golf. Oh. And then I was just obsessing every single Saturday watching him play golf. Like, I was a fan of golf because of Tiger Woods.
Have you met Tiger?
No. Never met Tiger.
Never been around?
Oh. Nope. And then my second crush was Roy Jones Jr. You see? And the thing is, I don't...
Do you see that?
But I've never dated an athlete. Well, actually, no, I dated one athlete. But that wasn't my thing. But I became a fan of sports because of a guy.
But you've never dated an athlete?
Like that.
I've only dated one. My whole thing, I love artists. But I've never dated an athlete. But when I was younger, I liked athletes.
That's who you were crushing on, the athletes.
Yeah.
I'd be a little scared to date an athlete nowadays. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll be scared to date an athlete.
Well, back then I felt like they were.
like
I don't know, but that was Tiger Woods was a good. I think a pretty safe.
Yeah, no, he was. He definitely came off as like.
And he wasn't a bad guy. Yeah. I knew he only liked white women, but still, that was my crush. I was like, I love Tiger Woods. And I believed that I could turn him.
She's like, I could get that.
Yeah, I could turn him.
I could get Tiger. But wow, I'm actually kind of surprised I never even like at an event or anything, like you haven't even like seen him in person still.
Nope, never met Tiger.
All the people that you've been
around.
I did
meet Roy Jones Jr.
How did that feel, that being a crush?
It felt like, oh wow, that was so many years ago.
You're like, I don't have a crush on you.
But still very handsome.
Yeah.
Very handsome. Super handsome.
Okay. Craziest place that you've had sex?
Crazy.
Or most random? Just anything that's not so typical.
Well, a plane.
On a plane? Really?
Yeah.
But I'm sure it was the nice planes.
But it was
not,
a private plane.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It
Yeah,
was
it was
a
a
private
PJ.
plane.
Not.
Yeah, we
regular
were
plane.
leaving Vegas and heading to where were we go? We were going to Hawaii. No, we were leaving Vegas and going to Ohio for a day, and then to New York. It was my ex plane. But yeah, when we hit turbulence in the middle
She
of
starts
having
bouncing.
sex, and I was like, "Holy crap!" No, I just thought, "Oh my god," I'm a Christian girl. Like, "Oh my god, I'm fornicating, and I'm about to
air.
go to hell." Like, no, I think I'm about to die. Well, don't take it out.
This
like,
is a
keep
sign.
going.
Oh my gosh, she's literally like yelling at me like, I see you doing this. She's like, I got something for you.
I was like, hurry up and finish so I can repent.
Okay, and last one for me. What is the craziest rumor that you've heard about yourself?
Craziest rumor. Oh, that I was a devil worshiper.
Really? Just
Yeah.
because of like...
Well, no, because I at that time in my life I was very I had a pet snake. I have all these snake tattoos.
So that.
I was just very eccentric
Uh-huh.
and had this very intense look in my eyes, and I didn't do anything to dispel the rumors either. I kind of like was like, oh, that's cool. Everybody thinks
Right,
I'm
ooh.
dark, like whatever.
Mysterious.
Right. So I just left it alone. But that was by far the absolutely insane rumor,
It's
and it was
completely
completely false.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll let you roll again so we can do one more segment. Hopefully you roll something. One. Oh, this is you. Hot or shot? In your case, sip, because we don't drink liquor around
Okay.
here. So we're just going to say something, a quality, a attribute, something about a male or whoever. And if you find that attractive in a significant other,
Okay.
then you say hot. If not, you'll just take a sip of wine.
Got it.
All right. So, how do you feel about sensitive men?
Depending on how sensitive we're talking.
Like,
show emotions
yeah,
more so.
more emotional, kind of maybe like a little bit of a girl, like not that we're used to. More
See, I
very
don't know, but
sensitive,
I
in
feel
touch
like,
with his feelings.
Well, I think that's healthy for
Mhm.
all human beings, right?
I
And I
agree.
think that is really healthy for especially men or black men in particular. It would keep them from bottling up a lot of things and acting out. I think that's healthy. It shows emotional wealth and emotional strength, but not if you're to the point where,
You
I
deal
can't even
with your
say a joke
emotions.
to you.
yeah, where
you're
like if you're
hurting my feelings.
sensitive,
Oh, yeah.
like so I don't know, like pipe down, like sensitivity, showing sensitivity. I think is a healthy thing for all humans, and I really, really, really promote emotional sensitivity for men, because it speaks, mental sanity
I agree.
when it's all said and done. I'm an aunt of nieces of nephews, and I'm raising these black kings with my sisters, and I tell them, speak it out, like go ahead, cry. I embrace that. I love seeing tears fall from their eyes. They may hate it, and you can feel their backs like all
Yeah.
they're upset that they're even gotten to that point where they're crying, but it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. A black man being able to cry, and they don't get to that place often, but I think in the African American community we should encourage it more. So I think that's hot.
I
Okay.
agree. All right. Men purses. Men
That
carry-
is,
Yeah, I'm not with that
It's
either.
a thing right now. Have you
I don't
guys
care if
noticed?
it is a
It's
thing.
so
Yeah,
It's
it
also
is
a thing for them to
actual-
paint their
yeah.
nails and
yeah.
like if I wanted a bitch, I would be
That's
gay.
exactly. That's how I feel too. Like, I
Like you don't get to stick your penis inside of me and wear my clothes
Right,
and then
and be
think that you
painting
can
your
tell
toes.
me what the fuck to do. I'm sorry.
I like you like.
And
real
that's probably
masculine-
I like a masculine
Yeah.
man.
I do too.
And I'm not talking about toxic masculinity, but we have toxic femininity as
Yeah.
well,
yeah.
Exactly.
We
You could
we
date
can
a-
all be toxic. So let's like dispel of that crap. It's just
You could date a girl if you wanted to have.
yeah, no,
Right.
man. And I
Yeah.
really, I would just date a woman if I wanted someone to wear my bag.
I feel the exact same way.
But I do love going into my man's closet and wearing his sweats and wearing his his suits.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
But I meant, those days of the 90s where it was men.
Yeah.
They were very masculine.
Yep.
Yeah, I blame Instagram once again for the purse
Everything.
thing and the
This
nail
generation.
polish.
I blame the music industry.
True,
Yeah,
it's a
because-
lot of rappers. And
I think it's just an agenda is screwed
Yeah.
up, but I blame that.
Yeah, I agree because I feel like one thing that we do have in the Black community is sports and music that we look up to and see. So we are watching what they do. Those
And
are the
people do that
success.
to get, on a blog, just shock value. And we used to do shock value back in the day, but it was nothing like that.
So, all right. Someone who smokes weed.
I don't smoke weed, but I don't mind men that do. So, I mean, I don't know if I would say it's
If it's
hot.
either.
I'm kind of impartial to it.
So you don't have a problem with it?
No, not at all.
It's not. So you could be with someone who smokes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Just don't try to force me into it. And if
Yeah,
I'm at home with you and I might want a shotgun,
Yeah.
like I'll do that because it's sexy.
Right.
But then just one puff and I'm good. Because trust me, you
no,
don't
baby.
want me to be paranoid around you. That's why I don't do
You
it.
get paranoid.
I
I'm
get
the
really
same way.
crazy. Yeah.
How do you feel about PDA?
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, not at a restaurant. Sometimes it bothers me at a restaurant. Like a peck on the lips is cool, but I like. But then people are doing too much nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna sip to it because I just like people on Instagram what they're doing. That's just
It's
too
too
much.
much.
It's a lot.
But you'll like like holding hands.
I love
or
holding hands.
just
I'm
being more
my love
touchy-feely.
language is physical touch
Okay.
and words of affirmation. So
Yeah.
I love when you rub my skin and smell my skin and I
Yeah.
can smell yours. Like I'm all about it.
All right. So last one. How do you feel about a man who gets a wax or who stays?
Nah.
No. Okay. What if he doesn't get a wax? What if he just shaves? Just
I like a caveman, baby.
Really, you like Harry?
I know I don't get cavemen,
Oh,
but I
okay.
like a man that literally just you're
Like,
just
that's a part of the
masculine.
thing again. Yeah.
You're raw. Like my ex had no hair on his legs whatsoever.
Oh, wow.
Like soft freaking skin, his feet so soft. Like I would do his pedicures. He never even went to get a pedicure. I would just be like, oh, and then feel the bottom of his feet and be like, oh my God, is it that I'm going every 2 weeks? You never go.
Yours looks
Yeah.
better than
And your
mine.
skin is better. Like I'm so jealous of you, the bottom of your feet.
I can't say the same for my man.
Yeah, I come
It's
across like
rough.
men that have really soft hands and stuff. I'm like, wow. Like, how
Oh
you-
yeah, my ex had soft
It's so
hands. I'm just
soft.
like, what the heck is this?
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we are about out of time. I know you probably have things to get to too. So thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for joining us.
guys.
Thank you.
I had a great time.
Me too.
Love
This was
it.
a great
This
conversation.
is a beautiful conversation, and I'm so proud of you guys.
Thank you.
You
so
need this.
much.
You need this in this market, and I'm
Yes.
really excited for you.
Well, thank you for
Thank you.
joining us.
Thank
We
you for having me.
appreciate it.
Like I said earlier, as long as one person got some knowledge and one person got a little entertainment, then we're good. That's the goal.
Absolutely.
So, do you have any last things that you want to say about as far as what you're doing or anything to look out for? other than
No,
clothing
I mean
line?
for the clothing line, I'm gonna release that. I don't really like talking too much about things, and this
Yeah,
can be a word of advice for anyone listening. When you're working on new projects, just kind of keep it to yourself before you, let the collective know. Even closest friends and family members, you have to kind of like conceal things. Keep God first. Like I really, really can't express enough to it doesn't matter what religion you are. A higher power is a higher power, and I've lived this life for a very long time. I'm a very old soul. And one thing that can never be dispelled with me and all the lives that I've lived is that there is a God that is up in the skies. We call him Olodumare. And before we all took our earthly bodies, we left Orun and we had a destiny. Fulfill it. Some of the downloads that you naturally have in your life, these are things that you're remembering from your contract that you signed. Just fulfill your destiny, because right now we're living in a very chaotic time. A time that is really, it's separating. It's a time of separations in the spiritual realm that's happening here on the earth. In the 3D, you're being separated from people that are karmics, that were a lot of people that used to be successful, you're going to see them drop off. A lot of people that have been good and they're holding on to their good heart, stay in your divine feminine or divine masculine energy. You know, stay on the light side. Light means order. Chaotic energy is darkness. So anything that brings confusion, separate yourself from it and continue to move forward in the light, you know. And, you know, we say Aburu Oboye, which means may your ebos or may your destinies come true. So that's what I'm going to end off on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much again. It was a pleasure meeting you. I learned a lot. And thank you for your time. Everybody, follow us on Instagram at Ear Hustle if you're listening, EAR.HUSSLE. And your Instagram
is I am Gypsy with a J, JYPSY, White, WHITE.
Lit. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.